Welcome to the latest podcast. Today we're talking profit warnings, AI meme stocks, streaming, beauty, alternative fuels, and lots more. And we'll be taking a look at some of the companies reporting next week. So, before we do that, James, what's been catching your eye in the last couple of days?
Yeah, hi, and yes, another busy week for retail. So we had a profit warning from Dunelm, which is the homewares retailer, and now they called out broad-based softening in demand, which is a little bit worrying. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it's the second downgrade of the year from them. But in contrast, Tesco delivered some pretty solid numbers, expecting profit growth this year, reported its highest ever market share, and launched a fresh buyback, which I thought was interesting. Another stock to one was Workspace. So this is the flexible office REIT. Um, that's given Boaz Weinstein of Saber Capital a bit of a bloody nose because the hedge fund wanted that REIT to wind down and return capital to shareholders due to the persistent discount.
oh dear. So what did
Yes.
they say? They said that people just aren't renting out flexible offices.
Yeah, a slowdown and also higher costs and something to do with asset disposals as well. But all the details there on our website on the our story on the website. Over in the US, is there another return to that's this sort of meme stock season? Allbirds has pivoted
Let's
from a
hope
shoe
not.
seller to an AI stock. So that sent the shares up 580% in one day. So it struck a
Sorry?
deal to, yeah, 580%. It struck a
And
deal to
what did
become
they do?
so they've struck a deal to become an AI compute infrastructure business, and they've
And what
changed the
were
name to
they?
a shoe seller.
So
A shoe
talk about
shop, and
taking
it's
all the kind of the hot words from a Google search and say, how can we make our company really attractive?
Yeah, so these were the kind of shoes beloved by the likes of Ben Affleck and Barack Obama. Um, and they're going to change their name to Newbird AI. So that was a very interesting one. Of course, some of these meme stocks have absolutely cratered, haven't they? Like Beyond Meat is down 99.5% in 5 years. So, you know,
oh wow. That was such a hot story, wasn't it, when it came to the market?
it was. What about you, Steve? What's
Wow.
caught your eye?
Well, it's been
Um,
it's
well,
been a very, sorry, it's been a
no, go
really
on,
good,
Steve. Go
it's
for
been an
it.
interesting week on Wall Street. I mean, and in Europe, I mean, tech has been obviously driving a lot of the fairly decent weekly returns, but it's been a bit hit and miss in terms of certain companies. ASML earlier in the week caught my eye. It's obviously the big Dutch
Mm,
lithography that is for me to say company. It's pretty much got a monopoly on the market. But the big question for investors is really about geopolitical issues and about restrictions that the US demand selling into China, and that hasn't really. We haven't found a long-term solution, it seems.
mm.
So that's still a little bit of a sticky wicket for ASML. So their share price was a little bit soggy despite the results being actually very, very good. And of course, Netflix. I mean, it was out last night. Some big shocks there really. One that hasn't seemed to be picked up widely is that the co-founder Reed Hastings is going to walk away. He's been the executive chairman for a good while now, and they have a dual CEO set up running the company. But he's going to depart the board. He doesn't want to be re-elected. He's going to go off and do philanthropic things and whatever. He's a very rich man now, obviously.
Mm.
But I mean, there's some question about margins, about growth in the short term. So a few things to chew over. So there's more detail on our website. We wrote a story this morning about that.
Oh, check that out, yeah. For me, I'll go back to Beauty Tech Group. Didn't disappoint. Had a really good chat as well with Lawrence Newman, the chief executive, and he still sees great growth potential. I did say to him, I'm not your target market, and then he rather cheekily said they're moving into hair loss. So I thought, thanks for that.
Charming.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I likened it to Shark Ninja, one of your favourites, James, and
Mm,
and they are actually competitors. But he said there's two things about having Shark in your market. First of all, the market's big enough for the both of them to compete, and actually having Shark in that at-home beauty device market kind of legitimizes it. It
okay.
shows that it is a proper market, if you like. So he's, very happy. Positive update today from Discover IE as well, a specialist electronics component maker. What's interesting about that is that customers are stepping up their orders. And I think one of the key takeaways from this Iran conflict is companies are now, you know, making sure that they've got plenty of stock. It's being real, having enough kit when your customers come calling that you can do it. So it's not just in time delivery anymore.
Yeah.
It's just in case, as they
But if there's
call
something
it.
that listeners worth bearing in mind, listeners, is that when you get these periods of overstocking, then inevitably you're going to get a period where clients will destock, and so that's what leads to classic cyclical dynamics in markets.
Yeah.
And this has always been the massive market dynamic of the semiconductor industry. So you get massive restocking, and then you go through these periods of destocking. So it really plays havoc with manufacturers. So that's something to bear in mind
It is
when you get these kind of Phillips.
worth bearing in mind for sure. The good news is that there aren't middlemen, there are no stockists like there are in a lot of industries. So they have direct relationships with the customer. The components are custom made for that customer. They support them over the life cycle. But the message from the company is very much that, yeah, companies are extending their contracts, and most of their, I think 85% of their customer orders are for very long-term punt. I mean, some people have been on the books for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's manageable, but I just thought it was an interesting sort of insight into what's going on in the industrial space. The other really interesting one today is ITM Power. Now, green hydrogen, the jury's been out kind of on green hydrogen, whether it's going to be technology of the future. But anybody who was in any doubt, today the company announced it's done a deal with Rheinmetall of Germany. No financial figures involved. But Rheinmetall says they want ITM's electrolyzers installed in several hundred plants across Europe to produce sustainable fuels for NATO forces. And again, we come back to resilience, the question of resilience, and not having to rely on fuel, in this case, from other parts of the world. So I thought that was interesting. That stock's almost doubled this week. What are we looking for next week then, chaps? Anything on the horizon?
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of Nick Train stocks reporting next week in. So
Oh, have
LSEG
we?
and Routes, yeah. So obviously Finsbury Growth and Income had another bad month in March, but the whole market was low, wasn't it? So what that'll be two stocks to watch. Also, half year results from Associated British Foods. All the interest as ever will be around, trading at Primark, markdowns, margins, those sort of things. With a bit of attention towards the sugar and the food brands as well.
Steve, what's gonna be on your radar?
I mean, Tesla's coming up next Wednesday, and that's
Oh,
after hours next Wednesday, and of course, that's always going to draw major attention. It's such a big company, and things never go slow with Elon Musk. So I've long since felt that it's a company that's obviously selling a story about AI and about robotics, but fundamentally, I mean, look at the financials. It's still about cars, and ultimately, bridging that divide is going to be a long-term plan, because we still don't know anything really about Optimus. It's humanoid robots. We have no real understanding about the costs or how much they'd be sold for, what the demand dynamics are. So there's a lot of hype in the market that Elon likes to pump out. Investors tend to look at the actual data, and the data is still about deliveries on Teslas and demand cycles on Teslas. So that's always going to be interesting, and something also to draw attention to. A lesser known infrastructure stock. We've been talking for several weeks about how AI is really infrastructure stocks have really stolen the AI show so far. And Lam Research is one just in that crucial space. They provide really crucial kit to chip manufacturers in terms of making the most advanced chips and getting better efficiency, and ergo better bang for your buck. So that's coming also after hours on Wednesday. So that's something that we've covered in today's look ahead piece as well.
oh, great. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. As you say, James, we've got AB Foods next week. I think we got Sainsbury's is out as well next week, because we've already had Tesco, obviously.
Right.
There's also Reckitt's on Wednesday. That's again, I think we've got that in the look ahead for this week.
Yeah, that's right.
all the focus will be on like-for-like sales. And that stock is down something like 20% this year. It's on its backside. I have a feeling that if it just doesn't disappoint, if it doesn't slip up, could have a pop.
And
Not saying it's a buy, but
yeah, one of Buffett's favourites as well, long-time favourites, was American Express as well on
right.
Thursday. So that might be worth watching, given the fact that Buffett has owned it for donkeys.
Yeah. And also talking of American ones, I know we've got Rollins, which is a peer for Rent-A-Kill, and United Rentals, which is a peer to Ashtead or Sunbelt Rentals, as it's known. So we'll be watching those too. And I think that's about it, chaps. So if you've enjoyed the show, please click like and subscribe if you haven't already on your favourite podcast provider. If you'd like to come on the show, and we have another special guest coming up next week, we'll reveal all earlier next week, then just send us an email to editorial@sharesify.com. We'll do the rest, and we'll wish you a happy weekend.
Cheerio.